Yo, what's up? In this video, we're gonna build that thing. Let's go. All right, so this is actually like our first legit full build video that's not like a shop project. Well, I guess we did the walnut vanity and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a lie. But this thing is 90% there. I still need to paint the face frame parts, which I'm going to do, and I'm not going to put them back on in the shop because they're going to get put on in the field when we install this, and I don't want to risk damaging anything after I paint them. I'm going to do an install video on this project, so you guys will get to see the face frame parts all painted when we install it. But we're going to get you to here. So this thing is obviously a giant built-in bookcase. We have adjustable shelves down here, adjustable shelves going here. I didn't put the shelves in. I actually don't have enough shelf pins that I just realized. So again, you guys will see it with all the shelves in the install video. But this thing is obviously giant. It's 9 feet tall, 14 and a half feet wide. Really cool built in. This 4-inch rail that we've got going across here, the client is adding one of those ladders that slides down. So it's gonna be really cool. There's another part of this project as well that goes on the opposite side. There's like a mud room, and there's a bench and a locker system going there, but that'll be for another video. In this one, we are focusing on this built-in unit. So let's get into it, and we'll start cutting plywood and get this thing going. So here's my piece. You can see the separation here in the holes. So my shelf, my fixed shelf that's 1.5 inches thick will be somewhere right here in the middle. And then you have the holes for the section down there and then up above. All my holes are drilled in the sides for all these cabinets. So I've got all my adjustable shelves and top and bottoms over there. And then I'm gonna get these sanded for spraying, and I'm also going to take this chamfer bit and on the front edge, just run this router bit along, give me a little chamfer. And I'm also gonna do the same when I go to mill up my face frame parts on the back side. So I'll bring you guys in close and show you this joint. This is all getting pre-painted and then assembled, and then the face frames are going to get attached permanently in the field when we go to install, because this is such a large built-in and these cabinets are big. It's impossible to kind of put it all together in here. So this joint where the face frame meets the box, I'm gonna have this little V groove, and it just gives a nice little detail. And then when your painted parts meet up, it'll look nice, because we're not going to be able to have it make that joint disappear, obviously, because everything's going to be pre-painted. You could do a little round over as well, with like an 1/8 inch round over bit or something like that. I just think that the V groove ends up looking a little nicer. So that's what we're going to do. A lot of sanding and hitting the edge with the router. All right, so one last step before we prime these. I want to shoot the biscuit slots in my sides, and I'm gonna shoot them in my tops and bottoms as well, because I'm gonna paint these, and then I don't wanna have to put the biscuit joiner on these after they're painted and shoot the biscuit slots. So I've got a story stick. It's just a scrap piece of plywood. It's cut the same length as my piece. And then I can use this to mark all these, and I can also use it to mark my face frames. And what I'll do is I'll find the center and I'll work out from center. That way, if it's upside down or whatever, my marks will still line up and there won't be any confusion, because I have done that in the past. So, shot in the biscuits in the wrong spot. So we'll just center it and then go evenly spaced outward with some biscuit slots. We'll probably get, I don't know, 5 in here, 5 or 6. So I'm just getting ready to paint here. So all these built-ins are, they're going to be green, like not a super dark green, but not a super light green either. Forget what the color, it's a Sherwin-Williams color, forget the name. But I have a ton of white primer here, so I'm just going to use it up. I could get it tinted, but my paint store is like a half hour away, and I typically call in my orders, so I'll call in the green stuff, and that'll probably be ready tomorrow. And so to get priming, I'm just gonna use up this white stuff. Yeah, hopefully we can get all this stuff primed, and then I definitely will need some more primer, so we'll pick that up too when we go to grab the paint. But I've been using these X5 pumps for a long time, and they're really great, especially with the water-based stuff. But I was spraying lacquer out of them for years. I did get new ones for the water-based stuff, but they're like made for water-based, but they work really good. I have a whole video on spraying, so check that out. I'm not going to go into all the details again in this one. If you want to know more about my spraying process and what I'm using and all that kind of stuff, check out the video. I'll put it right up here. So since my spray booth obviously is not hooked up yet, for now I'm just opening the door. Luckily I have a door right here that goes outside, and I'll start spraying this stuff. So I just gonna do a really light coat with this. Obviously let it dry. We'll sand it with 320. Then we'll come back, do another light coat, and we'll just kind of build slowly with this. One thing I've learned with the water-based stuff is heavy coats, especially your first coats, are not your friend. Light coats is the key. It'll dry really fast. You'll be able to build faster, and it just comes out nicer. I feel like the heavier coat, because it is water-based, kind of soaks in there, and I don't know. Light coats is the key. My first coat is really light. And typically I'd bring the rack into here, but with this, I do have some long pieces, and it will just be too tight in here, so I'm leaving it out here because you want to minimize the amount of steps you have to take in between each piece. But in this case, it's kind of like, it is what it is. All right, just got a coat of primer on everything. I'll spin around and show you. It's first coat is very light. Like I said, this side is all adjustable shelves, so I have to get the other side on those. These are all fixed shelves. Those, some of them get two sides, most of them are one side. And these are some sides for this upper section of the built-in, but let these set up a little bit. I'll spray the other side of these shelves and then we'll sand everything and hit them again. All right, I'm going through and just sanding everything. I'm hitting it with 320 and a piece of 320 sandpaper just for that chamfered edge that we've got going on here. Just hit it real quick and then I'll get in there and hit them with another coat. All right, so today is a big day. Today is assembly day. All my stuff is painted, at least all the box parts. So this thing is gonna start taking shape today. You see I've got all these backs and all the parts on the rack back there. I'm gonna clear off my benches here. I'm going to make a toe kick first and we'll get it leveled out. And then from there we can start assembling boxes and setting them on top. All right, so I'm gonna make a ladder style toe kick. So it'll be separate from the actual cabinets, especially with large boxes like this. I like to do my toe kick separate, so it's easier to get a small toe kick leveled and everything and set in place, and then just set the big box on top rather than have feet on the box or something and trying to shim that whole thing. I just find it easier like this. And a ladder style toe kick it's called a ladder style toe kick basically because it looks like a ladder. But it is going to come to the front of the box and then we're going to have like a baseboard type piece in the front and it's going to be pretty tall. It's actually going to be like 7 inches. So I'm just going to make a quick list for this and then I'll cut the parts and we'll throw this thing together. I've got my 2 pieces here. I'm just gonna go 16 inches on center every piece and just put these in the middle, just kind of like you're framing a wall. And that will be my toe kick. I have in the past, you make it and then you make it with some strips on the top and bottom going this way. It gives you something better to screw down into the floor and then more meat there to screw your cabinets into. I didn't do that. I don't always do that. It definitely uses up a lot more material. Yeah, just one of those things. So I didn't do that here. Using that Rue glue again, because this is a pre-finished material, so the Rue glue sticks to non-porous materials, whereas the yellow wood glue would not really stick on this. Now we can see why they call it a ladder style toe kick, because it looks like a ladder. The first thing I'm going to do here is just screw these together. So what I'm going to do, because I want this thing to I want to make sure it's straight too, I kind of use, I'm good right back here where I am, so I'll use the line on the plywood in the floor because I can see that that's straight, and I'll just kind of line it up with that and we'll level it going across. Boom. All right, that's good, leveled out. So now we can start building some boxes. All right, you guys have seen me put boxes together a bunch of times. These are no different. Only thing is they are in pairs. I already have, because I have all my shelf pin holes and everything. And you remember I put the arrows on the back, so I know. But these are pretty self-explanatory because we have the batch of holes for the lower cabinet and then the long section for the top. So you kind of know the top and bottom just by looking at them. So I have some of these that are painted on two sides, and that is going to be my shelf that goes kind of in here in the middle, which we're going to need to cut a spacer for. I'm going to grab two of these that aren't painted on the other side, and those are going to be for the top and the bottom, and then we'll just screw and nail these together. Okay, so before I put the back on, I do want to, I have a thick shelf that goes in here. So this is where I'll use the piece that's painted on both sides. And I'll get that in there. So it's going to be at countertop height once it's on top of the toe kick, and we're going to have a thicker nosing on this than on the rest of the shelf, so it'll kind of give it the feel of like kind of like a countertop with everything else being adjustable. All right, so before I almost brought this over and set it down on top of the toe kick, and I almost forgot. So there's a break in the box here, so there's a 4-inch rail here that the client, this is the top of the box, so there's a 4-inch rail, and then there's another small box above. And the reason we broke it there is because the client is getting a ladder system. You know, it's like the rail and the ladder will slide down, and so this is the location for that 4-inch rail. So what we're going to do is put some blocking on the top of this, and we'll attach it now. I just got to rip some material down, and that will give us, so we have 4 inches. Actually, my face frame is going to hang down a little bit on the inside here. But anyways, so we'll cut the spacing so then our top box will sit on there, and then our face frame will go right over that, and that'll give us, it'll space these things out for what we need. So we'll attach those, and then also on 2 of the boxes, there's in between all my face frame pieces, in between the styles, in between the boxes are 3 inches. So that means we're going to have an 1.5 inch piece of blocking in between the boxes. So on 2 of the boxes, on the second and the fourth one, we'll attach them on both sides. We'll attach them right here, so then when we can just squeeze the boxes together, screw them together, and then attach the face frame. Got all my pieces cut for these filler pieces for the top, so I'm going to do pocket holes going in both directions. That way I can screw it down to the top of this, and then when I set the other box on top, I can screw up into it. So I want to make sure when I attach this, I want to be about a 1/16 back from this edge, just so that when I go to put the face frame on, it's not sticking out. Obviously, I'm pushing the face frame out, but I want it to be close enough to the front where I can use these pocket holes to screw into the cabinet on top. All right. One down. All right, so we got the lower sections put together. We do have some small cabinets that go and sit on top. So we'll get to assembling those right now. That should go a little bit faster. These obviously take a little bit, and then putting all those filler pieces on to pack everything out, but looking good. Nice thing about doing the toe kick like this is once you get that thing nice and level, cabinets just sit on it and it's good to go. Like everything's level. So obviously in the field everything will get screwed together and screwed to the wall, but looking good so far. Okay, so all the top boxes are put together. I did the same thing with two of them. I put these pack out pieces on each side, and those will be to go above that one and that one. I don't need to pack out anything on top because I already have those up there. So basically what these pieces are doing, it's screwed to this one right now. I didn't screw this together yet, but it will pull that tight. You can see the pocket holes here, so I kept it close to the front so I can still get to that pocket screw, and that'll pull that tight. So my face frame will pop right in there and everything will be nice and straight. And now we'll get these tossed up there, and I know it looks like I'll hit the light, but I shouldn't. Should be well below that. New day. So got this thing all put together here. This is obviously a massive built-in. So today my goal is to get all the face frame pieces milled, biscuited, sanded, and maybe even painted. Hopefully, if you know, we might be able to get there. So I'm just going to make a quick list of all these parts, and then we'll kind of biscuit everything, dry fit everything, and then we'll get them ready to spray. All right, so all my material is broken down. Now I'm going to bring it to the joiner. So I've got everything labeled on the ends. I write in the magic marker on the end of the piece just so I know what it is, because obviously there's a lot of parts here. I don't want to get confused. So what I do is I rip this down. Like, this is going to finish at a 3-inch style, so I ripped it down to like 3 1/4. That way, after I flatten it and joint the edge again, I still have a little bit of meat there to get it straight and square, and then rip it down to final width. Some of these, like the base and the crown piece, are like 15 feet, and I wasn't able to get any 16-foot material. I am going to glue these together. It's going to be like a butt joint. We'll do some biscuits in there and we'll glue it up just to get me that length, so I can do it in one piece, so that we don't have a field joint after everything is painted, and it'll work fine. So one other thing to note real quick is when I go to flatten these aren't doors, right? They're face frame pieces, so I don't need them perfectly straight. I'm gonna get them as flat and straight as I can, right? So, but like the longer pieces, if it has a little bow to it, I'm not gonna be able to completely take that bow out. Really just looking for a flat surface. It's okay if it has a little bow. So I'm just gonna kind of skip it over this and get it the best we can. Luckily, all my material that I picked out is already pretty good and straight. Everything has gone through the sander. Thickness wise, I did not sand the edges. Some of these are too wide to sand the edges, but my other parts right now, what I'm gonna do, like for my center stiles, they need to be 3 inches. It's actually like a little bit light. So I'm gonna rip everything like a 1/16 bigger, and then we will dial in the width on the drum sander. We'll sand them down and get them really nice and flush. It'll just give me a nicer finished product than just going straight from the table saw. So here is my baseboard piece that I mentioned I need to glue together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a couple biscuits. I'll just nail these little blocks on here and just clamp this up. I don't need a ton of pressure. This is getting painted, so I'll just fill the little nail holes. And then once it sets up for a little bit, I'll flip it over and I'll probably just shoot some biscuits straight down into the back of it just to give it a little more strength. But this is going to be better than having a field, painting these two pieces and then just having a joint. I put a couple biscuits in here because, like I said, the bench sags a little in the middle. And so that's just kind of keeping everything nice and straight, so it's not gluing up like that. But it's a tight joint, and I think it'll be plenty strong for what we're doing with this thing. I mean, it's just a piece of baseboard. So then I'll do the same thing with the piece of crown, because I want the same, you know, I don't want to have a field joint. So, okay, so my piece of base is all set. It is nice and strong. It's a pretty good joint, so I'm happy with that. It'll definitely be better than a paint grade joint in the field. What I'm gonna do is biscuit this, and I'm gonna do double biscuits like I would a filler, because this piece is actually gonna get scribed to the floor. So I'll do my top biscuits, and then I'll do another row down below. Not every biscuit, I'll probably do, I don't know, 6 or something, just so it can hold it up, 3/4, and I can scribe it to the floor, cut it, and then put it in flush just like I would do a filler. And then the end is gonna need a miter for the return, but I'm not gonna, I might cut the miter now, but I'm not gonna glue that joint together. Actually, I probably won't cut it now. I will probably just cut it when I install, because I could glue the return piece on now, but that's gonna make it more difficult to scribe and stuff like that. So I will just cut that joint, or cut that miter when we get to install. But for now, I have a bunch of biscuits to cut. So I'll cut this one, then I'll do that 4-inch rail. I'll get that biscuited and put on, and then I'll biscuit the crown. And then, because I'm gonna do the same thing with the crown, have the double biscuit so I can drop it down, scribe it to the ceiling. So I'll have this one, the 4-inch rail, the crown, and then I'll have my stiles that go in between. And then I'll have my 2 stiles on the end. So yeah, lots of biscuits to shoot. All right, so you can see I did the double biscuits. I just did every other one. I don't need that second one on every one. So it's just enough to hold it in place while I scribe it to the floor. You can also see in the back of this thing, I did just shoot some biscuits in the back as well. And then I just cut them and sanded them down just to give it a little extra support. And I also added one in the bottom. So that's just gonna give that joint a little extra strength. Router. So I'm gonna hit these parts now as I biscuit them. I'm gonna hit them with the router. Remember, I'm gonna do that like we did that chamfered edge on the front edge of the plywood. I'm gonna do it on the back of this, because that was the whole point, is for where it meets up with that joint. It's also gonna get it on the front, because my joint where my stiles come down into this, we're gonna have that V-groove detail there as well. So it's just gonna break up that joint a little bit, make it look nice, because this thing is so large and this is kind of how we have to do it in pieces. So we're just gonna kind of exaggerate that joint a little bit, make it look nice, and it'll look really cool once it's all done and painted. So we're gonna get this whole thing dry fit with all these parts, get everything fitting the way we want it to, and then we'll take them down, paint them, and then it'll be just about done. All right, moment of truth here. Let's see how we did with all of our biscuits. We should be right on the money. Should have 3.5 from the inside. Yep, I got 3.5 there. Got that first piece on. It's fitting nice. You can see that joint there. Obviously, face room's not painted, but you get the idea. Oh, well, that failed. So that 4-inch rail there, obviously I dropped it and the joint broke. I forgot I needed to glue that one up too. Luckily, minimal damage. I've already got it glued back together, but that's the joys of trying to do stuff like this on your own. Let's try this again. This is one of those situations where the Lamello, the Zeta would be perfect because I could snap it right on. And I know I've been saying it's broken for a while and I need to send it in, and it's sitting over there in the corner ready to go out the door and be shipped out, and I keep forgetting and procrastinating and I haven't sent it out. So it's my fault for not putting it in a box and going down the street and sending it out. But Monday morning I'm going to do that first thing. So it's up there. I might actually just throw a couple brads in this right now just to kind of lock it in there so it doesn't fall off. Because I still need to sand it before I paint it and everything, so I can just fill those holes. But I think I'm going to do that, just pop in a couple brads so I can get everything set and not worry about it falling down and breaking again. Remember I said get all these pieces on, sanded, painted today? Yeah, not happening. Painting them tomorrow for sure. All right, that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know that this is a bit of a longer one, but this is a big build. So I wanted to do like a full build video. Like I mentioned earlier, you guys will get to see it all with all the face frame parts painted and installed and all that in the install video. But we got it to this point so you could see what the whole thing looks like. Projects like this, I'm always going to mock it up in the shop and just get it all fitting nice, and that's just going to make the install go that much smoother when we get there, because I know everything fits, they're labeled, parts are labeled, and we can just kind of put it together. So if you have questions, please let me know in the comments. We do have a couple more patrons that signed up on Patreon, which is awesome. I appreciate you guys. Really, it is incredible that you guys are willing to support me like that and support this content. So Randy and Paul Carey, our new members, really appreciate you guys. The support means a ton. So shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. The link for the Patreon will be down in the description below, and check it out. We do some like weekly shop updates over there, do a little behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, that's what we got going on Patreon. We also have merch available on my website, which the link will be below as well. We have some cool shirts that say cabinet maker. We have just the Northeast logo with it on the back. We have some hats and stuff like that. So check it out. If you'd like to support that way, that's awesome. If you'd like to support by just liking, subscribing, and commenting, that's huge as well. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far in the video, awesome. Thank you. So that's it. I'm out. Have a good day, guys. Peace.